Good afternoon, YouTubers. This is Kathy Morrison, also known as the Furniture Duchess. Losing my voice today, but we're on episode 6 of the February Furniture Flip Challenge. Say that fast 5 times. Hosted by Lisa with Ivy Lane Interiors. And as you know, I've been working on this Lane chest, and today is Resin Day. I decided I'm going to play with some epoxy resin on the top. I'm using Alumilite's amazing clear cast epoxy resin. It's a slow cure, so the good news is it gives me lots of time to play with it. I've got 30 to 40 minutes open time, which is a fancy term for before it hardens up on you. You can goof around with it. Since in the theme of recovering, I'm using my Epoxy glitter in the shade of NyQuil, which is kind of a purpley glitter. I'm only putting a little bit in just to give a little shimmer to the base coat. And then I've got a bunch of pigments that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and start pouring up some pigments and explaining as I go along what I'm pouring up. And this part, you have to have a little bit of patience with this, but it's pretty interesting. So I've got a couple of different whites that I'm going to be using. One is Color Passions white, which is a base cell white, which I'm not going to get into all the issues with base cells and top cells in this video, but it does give you a cool effect. So really what I'm doing right now is just pouring out resin. I'm going to use a lot more of the whites, so I'm pouring more in there. I've got a couple of pink and violet pigments that I'm using. I've got gold, which we're not going to use that much of, but I'm going to pour out a couple of cups ahead of time just in case. And I've got 16 ounces of resin that I mixed up. This resin has got a part A and a part B, as you saw. And pretty much what you do is it's equal 1-to-1 ratio on the mixture. And you mix it up for between 3 to 5 minutes. Make sure it's all completely mixed. And I'm even using some of the pink, the soft pink that I painted this whole piece with as a base coat. So we're going to play around and see what kind of a feel that we get. You'll notice that I've done some taping that looks a little weird. And what I'm trying to do is dam up the sides because I don't want to let the resin drip down the sides right away. So I'm trying to play around and see if I can hold that, hold it on the top. And then as it thickens up, I'll go ahead and release it. And then when I do the top coat or the clear coat, I'll let it run over the edge because it'll cover the gold that's around the lip of this. And that'll be great. That'll be absolutely fine. So pretty much, you can use paint in resin, but again, you want to be careful how much that you use. You really don't want to use very much because you don't want to change the properties of the resin. And if you use too much paint, it won't thicken up. It won't set. Sorry about that. All right, pink is done. So I'm going to mix all these cups together and then I'm going to put them away just for a second, because the first thing that we're going to have to do is get down a base coat, and that's just going to be our clear coat that's got a little bit of glitter in it. And we're going to grease the surface with that because resin likes to go where resin's already been. So in the ease of pouring and getting good movement of your resin, see, there's the pink. It's kind of pretty. Soft pink. All right. This gold is one of my favorites. Absolutely, positively. It's a really pretty gold. It's almost got a bronze to it. And it fractures really well, which means if you put alcohol or something on it, it does really cool, interesting things. And you get a solid color. All right. There's no way to mix these faster than I can. So, the challenge, the deadline is Saturday at midnight. So I want to make sure that I get this part going because resin, you got to let set up for a day. And if I want to do a top coat or anything on it, that's going to be another day. So since we're already at Wednesday, don't have that much time. Look at that gold just sitting on top of there. It's so pretty. All right. And I painted the top just with one coat of pink because we're covering it all up. And that will do for us. I think I also did a primer. My brain's fried. Underneath the pink. But I really wasn't worried about full, solid coverage because it's just the background noise. All right, we got gold. Down. All right. Gold. All right, I tell you what, I'm gonna mix the rest of these up and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. I got all my colors mixed and kind of thrown out of the way. I'm just putting down a little bit to grease the pan. My first coat, just a plain Jane clear coat. And it doesn't have to be a lot, it just has to be enough that we can get the surface wet, so to speak. So I'm just digging out everything I can. I don't like to waste resin. This stuff is expensive, but fabulous. I mentioned before probably that I mixed up 16 ounces. I don't know if I'm gonna need all 16 ounces, but I've always got other molds that I can use if I find that I'm getting too much. But usually a good rule of thumb is 2 to 3 ounces per square foot, depending on what kind of coat that you're doing on it. All right, so we're done. All right, so what basically I'm gonna do is get my hands dirty. And we're just gonna spread this out a little bit. It probably would help if I heated it up. Sorry for the noise. You want to be careful when you use heat on it because you don't want to burn it. All right, I could use a little bit more, which is what I have been thinking. So, magically, I've got more. And if this still isn't enough, then I'm going to just go ahead and start using my colors. All right, but I think we should be fairly good. All right, I just want to go up to the edge. Don't want to go over. Hopefully this tape will stick. This is an experiment. I've seen people do it before, but I haven't tried it myself with this damming technique. All right, we're just gonna get it everywhere. So exciting. I love playing with resin. There's so many things you can do with it. And in fact, I'd like to do a little bit more. So I did, one of the colors that I poured was an interference, which is just a fancy name for almost like a color shifter. And I'm just going to use that as part of the background. This thing shifts colors, almost like a holographic feel to it. You know, one angle it looks pink or violet, another angle I see green in it. That's kind of interesting. All right. And when you do this, you can use your hands. If you don't like using your hands, there are tools, scraper tools and trowels and all kinds of things you can use. I'm losing my glove. All right. Always, always, always wear gloves if you're playing with resin. It's just a good safety hint. Because once this stuff gets on you, you can have a bad reaction. You can have an allergic reaction. You can get a rash, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to do that. And it's also helpful if you're not trying to do a live or a tutorial to wear a mask. Okay. All right, that'll get us started. All right, now I'm just going to set down some colors. And I've got the Color Passion Base Cell White. And I'm just going to put kind of colors, you know, just random blobs around the piece. Playing with resin is definitely free form. You know, whatever you feel like doing, because you create something new every single time. It's just so interesting how resin reacts. All right, that's the Color Passion Base Cell White. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do some pink. All right, pink on top of pink, so you may not be able to tell too much, but I really don't want this screaming at you. I really want more of a background feel. And resin is beautiful if you want to create like marble or granite finishes. I mean, all kinds of things. The sky is the limit. All right. So we're just getting color on here, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully I like it. But the good thing about this is if you don't like it, you can always pour another layer and do something completely different. All right. All right, there's my pink. All right, we got that violet. And I did have one idea when I started this, and I'm going in a different direction. But I don't know. Resin is just one of those things goof around with. And as the mood hits you, you just do what you like. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, There's always something else you can do to change it. All right, purple 1, purple 2, thing 1, thing 2. Kind of looks like a hot mess right now, but hopefully the pictures will speak for themselves. Try not to talk too much because I know how painful it is to listen to this voice. Oh. All right. Let's see. What do we got next? We got flamingo pink. Where do we need a little flamingo pink? Blob right there. Break up that white a little bit. See how it looks with the other pink. All right. All right, and here's the second one. This looks like something out of the Jetsons. All right, and then the last, oh wait, no, I do have another white. That'll take some of this down. A little bit. And what I like to do with this is kind of create layers and depth and how you can kind of sometimes see through it. All right, and this is not quite sure what I want to do with this white yet. So we're just going to kind of randomly, like string, silly string, randomly kind of go through here with a light touch. All right. Then we've got gold. All right, I'm going to save some of this for later. We'll see what happens. All right. And I probably have too much gold, but I love gold. All right. Ooh, that's a real subtle gold. Must not have mixed that as strong as I thought. I guess that's good. I don't know. I'm thinking, I got one more gold. I'm thinking I need to put more gold in it. What do you think?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think I need it to talk to me a little bit more. It's just kind of translucent, which is not what I was expecting on this one. All right, so I got one more gold, and I gotta get my gold magic out. And with metallics, you gotta shake them up because all the metallics that's on the bottom, and these pinata colors are really good for resin. But I do like to try different things in the resin, paint, things that are made for resin, things that are not necessarily made for resin, and you know, mica powders, pigment pastes, oh, just alcohol inks. There's all kinds of cool things that you can do. In fact, one of the coolest effects is to take a piece that you've already done, well, not already done, but got all your colors set, and then do some alcohol ink drops on top of it. Ooh, that's really pretty. All right, I think this may be a little better. That gold just totally got lost. Huh. Weird. Alright, let's see how this goes. Alright, a little gold. A little better. Where do we need gold? I kind of like this. This is very op art, very kind of 60s retro. Cool, cool, cool. Too bad this wasn't a mid-century modern piece. It'd be perfect. All right. All right, let's blast this with a little bit of heat. Let's see what happens. All right, now that I've got my hands all full of resin, I do keep isopropyl alcohol nearby. There's regular 70%, and I use that to clean. Then there's the 91% isopropyl alcohol, which is what I use. You'll see maybe in a minute as a decorative finish to create cells and different movement in the resin. All right, good as new. Clean, it's like magic. All right, so, all right. We're just gonna lightly go over this. Some bald spots. Okay, so more resin to the rescue. We're going to fill in some of these spots, and plus when we start moving this, it'll move out to the edges. I know you can't see behind the tape, sorry. All right, where else? The good thing is when you do this in a room that's got daylight in it, you can see it from an angle and see where you've got issues with bald spots. All right. Okay. Now we got a hot mess. So there are a number of things that you can do with this. You can, oh, I really like this. Where we're going with this. You can chop it up and it starts getting some different patterns going on. Just a random movement. And all I'm doing is breaking up the lines. Come back. And I do have another tool that would work really good with this. It's just not in my hand right now. So we're just going over the whole surface randomly. Ew, I kind of like that. What do you think?
Not bad.
Am I on to something good, Mr. Cameraman? Whoops. I know we got to get these edges. I was so worried it was just going to be too much resin that was going to go flying over. And then a lot of times you're just going to play with it and then let it sit for a little bit because it will do its thing. When it's this liquid, the patterns that you create now aren't necessarily going to hold. I gotta chop, 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 chop. All right. All right, that looks interesting. All right. All right, something else that you can do is find cloth. All right. Let's go ahead and put some heat on this with a little bit of movement to see if we can get this to move. Come on. Well, we're not moving. Well, like I said, this is just playtime. It's time that you just have some fun. So, 91% isopropyl alcohol. You can buy it at any drugstore. There's a number of different techniques to using it. You can do these giant drips. They call it the Italian drip, which I love, where you get big, big drips. And random. And it may take a few minutes for this thing to... And then you can do little drips. Just a slight spray. You want to be careful you don't put too much alcohol on your surface. It will evaporate fairly quickly. But you also want to be careful with heat. You don't want to put a flame near alcohol. I think you guys probably figured that one out. But there's all kinds of things you can do. You know, if you find you just want to do another vein, or you want to smush something up, or you don't like what's going on in this particular area, you know, you can just monkey with it and see what it does. Right now I got to get it to the edges. That's probably the best thing. So I'm just gonna keep, it will self-level and it'll get there. that looks different. All right, we're gonna let it sit and see what it does, but it's definitely got a marble component to it. A lot going on. I'm thinking there's some of this that I'm not crazy about. All right, we will be back with you later and show you more of the results of what we got on our resin top. Okay, and here's the final result. Got a little bit of glare coming in from the sun, but we'll try and get down here and show you. So, on the previous video, I realized that after I finished, that I didn't have I didn't have the heat gun warm enough. So it wasn't moving the resin anywhere. So off camera, I figured out what the problem was, adjusted it, and got the resin to move, which is why you're seeing all these really cool patterns in here, the lines blowing out, some fun abstract images in here. And then the other thing that I did was go ahead and do a flood coat on top of this, which was just a plain coat of resin. I did throw a little bit of bling bling in it with a little silver glitter just to pick up the light and add a little bit more depth and dimension. I don't really like what's going on in here. All right, and that's it for now. Stick around and you'll see the finished project. Thank you.